Yeah, thanks for being here. The Youth on Edge series that we are doing all week long here at KTAR News. Every show, all of our news department taking different looks at what is happening. And the youth violence that we've obviously learned about happened first, or we first learned about it because of occurrences in the East Valley with a group called the Gilbert Goons, the death of Preston Lord, but it has motivated us to look at deeper into this. It's not just a sensationalized part of violence that's on the internet, but it's about the mental health issues that young people are dealing with, how we can avoid things from happening again or more violence happening. And so to talk about this, just joining us now from the Gilbert Police Department, their police chief, Michael Soelberg. Chief, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mike.
I want to just do a recap if we could. Can you walk us through a little bit of the investigations that are ongoing and some of the arrests now? Where do some of these cases stand? The case of Preston Lord, but some of the other arrests that have been made in your community. Are there more arrests to come? Are there investigations that are continuing into these violent actions?
Yeah, we have a lot of ongoing cases, and we continue to partner with Queen Creek Police Department. Obviously, they took the lead on the Preston Lord investigation, and we've assisted them with information on their case. With our cases, the information that we've provided the media, not only before and after this tragic incident. We have currently made 29 arrests on cases that have been reported to us. And an important thing that we've learned from these cases is that a lot of these cases were not reported to not only the Gilbert Police Department, but other police departments as well. And that was a catalyst. The tragic death of Preston Lord, thankfully, people came forward with information about cases not only in Gilbert, but in other jurisdictions, which has allowed law enforcement to now take appropriate action and hold these people accountable.
Did you understand the criticism at first of law enforcement, your department, but in law enforcement, there was criticism that you did not act quickly enough or take this serious enough, even if you disagreed with it? Did you understand where it was coming from some of the public?
I understand the criticism, but you got to keep it in perspective of what we knew at that time and what we know now, which is much different. At the time when Preston Lord was killed, we had made 15 arrests on group teen violence cases prior to Preston being killed. We had actively investigated all of our cases and were proceeding with those. After Preston Lord was killed, there was an overwhelming influx of information, videos, photos, tips, not only to Queen Creek Police Department, but to the Gilbert Police Department and other East Valley law enforcement agencies, not only regarding this group that you mentioned, Gilbert Goons, but other individuals as well. These teen violence cases that we've seen throughout the East Valley are not just one particular group or set of groups. And it's a pervasive problem. And so I appreciate you coming forward with information of looking at these issues throughout the East Valley, because it's not unique to Gilbert.
Gilbert Police Chief Michael Soelberg is joining us. I've had the privilege of speaking with law enforcement leadership across the valley for many years. And when we talk about crime reduction and the way crimes are solved, I've never heard a police leader not say it takes the community input. Isn't it that community input and being willing to come forward with information? Isn't that the key to success in these arrests?
It is, and we rely on our partnership. That's why Gilbert is safe, because our community is looking out for each other. They're reporting to the police department when there's either suspicious activity or crimes. And that's why it was concerning when we got this information after Preston Lord was killed of all these videos that some individuals had, but unfortunately we did not have those or the information. And so once we received it, us and the other agencies, we were able to take quick action and make arrests and hold those accountable in those cases. But you indicated it, and it's not just a police department issue. It is a community issue. It's a mental health issue, and we've got to work together with the schools, the churches, the parents, anyone that can help us and the community combat teen violence and put an end to it.
In any good organization, you look at something that's happened and you figure out how to do it better when something else happens. What have you learned as far as you did not have the information about these videos, although it was out there? Has it changed the way you police the internet? Has it changed the way you look at things? Are you able to see things, do you believe now, better so that you can catch it sooner? How has it changed what you do in your agency when looking for things like this?
So a few things to keep in perspective. Obviously, we're always looking for ways to improve. In Gilbert alone, we have about 80 to 82,000 youth, 17 years of age and younger. That's a city in itself. Obviously, we can't monitor 80,000 kids, nor would the parents or the kids want us to be doing that. But any information, that's where we go back to that community partnership. Any information that people see of criminal activity or posts, videos, photos, that needs to be passed on to law enforcement agencies, whether it's Gilbert or any other agency. And that's why it's so important for us to build that trust and relationship. One thing that we learned, that's what did we learn, was that these crimes were going on in our community and other communities, and they were not being reported to the police department. The majority of those cases that I mentioned, the 29 arrests that we've made, the majority of those were never reported. And a lot of those occurred in 2022, end of 22, and in 2023, but they were never reported to our police department or other police departments until after Preston Lord was killed. So not only our department, but our community, hopefully we've learned that we have to take action. If someone does not report a crime, even if they don't want to prosecute, it's still important to contact us so that other people aren't victimized by these individuals.
When you had conversations, or your agency had conversations with victims or people that were reporting crimes, was it a fear of retribution to them? If you've got people out there being violent and they're making threats and they're putting videos online, were one of the reasons, or was the main reason they didn't come forward that they were afraid?
That's my understanding. The majority of these who did not report is a combination of things. They were afraid. In some incidents, they were threatened or they were afraid of retaliation. And in other incidents, they kind of brushed it off. It was a one-time incident. Some of these victims weren't aware of other crimes going on. And so after Preston was killed, there was an awareness and obviously an overwhelming amount of information shared to the community. And that is what inspired a lot of people, thankfully, to come forward and bring forward cases that had happened up to 18 months prior. And with video evidence and statements, we were able to put those cases together and hold people accountable. But there was, each individual, each case is different. Everyone has a different reason of why they do or do not report or whether they want to assist in prosecution. But that's the message we're trying to get across is we need you to report. See something, say something. We have to have that information. We and other agencies were proactive. We're watching where crime trends are occurring and responding to that. But we need that information from the community so we can be on top of it and work with them to prevent it from happening in the future.
Looking into what we can do in prevention and realizing that, we're dealing with some issues, young people with more and more growing issues in mental health, how is the police department able to help in prevention? How is the use of school resource officers a tool not only for reporting when things happen, but can they be used in prevention as well with intervention with young people before something turns violent?
Definitely, and that's just one tool in the tool belt. Our SROs, we have 12 SROs, all the high schools and junior highs here in Gilbert. And we have anti-bullying programs that we put on in conjunction with the school, each school district. We have 3 different school districts here in Gilbert. And for all incoming freshmen, we also educate them on what to do in these situations and how to report and what to look out for. In addition to that, one thing, you go back to lessons learned, we're looking for different ways of expanding our reach to the community. You're the first to hear this because my council hasn't heard this yet, but they'll hear it next week. We are proposing a new position within the police department. It's a youth community engagement officer to focus on our engagement of our youth. We have several programs currently that we have, a summer program, Gilbert Youth Leadership Academy, an Aspire Academy that we do with East Valley agencies for female high school age students. But we also have we're unique in Gilbert, we have a Gilbert Adult and Youth Resources, which is a counseling department. So for those minor crimes that are committed, tobacco, alcohol, disorderly conduct, shoplifting, we have a diversion program as well to try to assist our parents and the youth. So when they do make a mistake, they get them on that right path. Obviously, a case like we've been seeing with aggravated assaults, those aren't. That's a different path, and they need to be held accountable. And that's what process we're going through. But we do have resources, and we're always looking for more resources. And so I thank you for bringing this to the attention and bringing the community resources to determine what else can we do and how can we partner with other agencies to combat this problem.
Well, and equally, I appreciate your willingness to come out and talk. I think it's important for the community to hear from the leadership in law enforcement across the East Valley. My last question is about changes. Are you seeing changes in attitude with young people now that this has been brought to light? Are you seeing that younger people are starting to realize the seriousness of this and that they are changing the way they behave and changing the way they do things when they're in public?
I think we are. We are seeing it. Obviously, making arrests in all of these cases, specifically in the Preston Lord homicide case with Queen Creek, it brings the reality of actions have consequences, and these people will be held accountable. And that's the message going forward: is we need the community to report these crimes to us and the other agencies. We will do everything we can to help protect our victims and our witnesses to ensure that this doesn't happen. But it needs to be reported, because if it's not reported, they're going to continue to assault and do various crimes against individuals if it's not reported.
Well, Chief Soelberg, I appreciate the time today. I hope you'll come back and talk with us again and give us an update, but we sure do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, that is Chief Soelberg from the Gilbert Police Department with a bit of an update in the East Valley violence.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch the first season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.